I'm here with Marcin Dylla, Polish guitarist. Yeah, you've been on tour for the last 2 months or so. What's been your experience with that so far?
I'm always enjoying touring and playing many concerts for different reasons. I mean, the artistic reason is great. I'm playing a concert almost every second day. It gives you a chance to experiment, to change something, to improve. And as an artist, you see how many things have influence on you as a performer. Sometimes different venue provokes you to do different things. So it's a constant evolution for me as an artist. Another level is this social level. You hang out with great friends. You have a chance to talk to them after maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years and see what changed in their lives. And also to see many beautiful places, beautiful cities, to meet new friends, people they enjoy art, music, classical guitar. I really enjoy it. And of course, and also the very beautiful thing is you don't have the worries of the normal day, like paying bills, taxes, all this stuff. It comes later. So it's really nice.
More enjoyable than keeping a day job and having to go to an office or anything
exactly,
like that.
You know, I wake up, I have to find a place to have a coffee, then I have the whole day to practice, evening concert, maybe next day I have some meeting with local students at the university. It's just everything very enjoyable, very enjoyable.
Nice. What's been your favorite place to play so far on the tour? Would you say?
It's not possible to answer this question.
Okay, yeah.
It's really everything is different. I can say that a very positive approach from the presenters. I mean, when they really are excited about your concert, they do their best to organize everything. This is a great motivation for me also to play nice, and those concerts stays in my memory for a long time. And then when you have a audience that is very focused, there is quiet, and as an artist you understand that they are listening to you carefully, and after the concert every great feedback is highly appreciated. So the venue doesn't matter, the city doesn't matter, it's more about the human relation, right? Artist and audience relation.
I remember actually in an interview that you did a few years ago, you said that you actually, a lot of musicians don't like being on the road, going back to a hotel and then lying in bed and thinking about the concert. And you said that's actually something that you like, going back to the hotel, thinking about how things went and visualizing how the next one could go. Do you still feel this way about doing concerts on the road? And
absolutely, yes. You know, I'm the person that doesn't separate the work from the private life or free time. You know, my work is my life, it's me. So 24 hours a day I'm a musician, and probably I mentioned something about going back to the hotel after the concert, after the dinner, because actually this is the time that you have a very strong thoughts about this, what happened during the concert, and of course with some things you are very happy with, and other things you would like to change. So this is the time that you just think about what went perfect, what didn't went well. And so imagine next day or in 2 days you have a chance to check it, to try it, to change it. It's just beautiful, right? So maybe that's why I like it.
Yeah. Do you believe that it's even possible to have a concert that goes exactly as you expect or exactly as you want, or is it always going to be a bit of thinking about what could be changed or what could be different?
Of course, there are concerts that I'm quite happy with, but there is always this curiosity how it would be if I change something, if I deliver a little more energy to this piece or to this movement or to this phrase, or if I stay a little bit more focused, more energetic, or if I just calm down a little more on the stage. So it's all about always experimenting, changing, developing. And you know, when I saw an interview with Rubinstein, and he in the age of 80 he said something like, okay, excuse me, I have to go practice. This shows me that this desire for moving with your ideas, it will never stop, right? So it's not that we are trying to reach some some point, some perfection point, some goal. It's just all about being alive, moving, changing, right? And enjoying music, because music is something to enjoy, and if you really understand music and you like music, you understand that there is no final version of anything, right? It's something kind of positively changing.
Would you say then that you feel that your music changes with you too as you grow? And
I think I believe so. I love to listen to the concerts played by mature artists. I mean, like over 60 or 70 years old, and somehow you have this feeling that in their music is the whole life experience. It's like listening to the stories from your grandfather, right? As a child, it was the highlight of any family meetings in my parents' house, because I was so impressed with what he knows, what he experiences in his life, and I think it's the same with music. If there is a mature person, matured also through their life, you can hear it in the music. I think so.
And kind of touching on that as well, I mean, we get to speak with a lot of guitarists from all over the world, and being from different countries, often people bring in different things from their background. Is there anything growing up in Poland that you kind of take with you in your music, or anything that's particularly influenced you with that?
It's a good question. Sometimes I'm thinking about this. Like I'm thinking about my childhood, what I did with my friends, how did we spend the free time, what did we play, and how did it influence my my personality, right? And maybe it's a kind of funny example, but I remember when I moved to Basel, studied with Oscar Gilia, and I was just on the way to the university. I was passing by the kindergarten, and I saw all the kids playing with beautiful toys, and they had a very safe place to play. And then I thought about my childhood, playing with my friends in a like construction fields, like creating our our games. It was crazy, actually. Nowadays you don't see it anymore, but that time it was something normal for us. Or playing in a bunkers after the Second World War. It was like not far away from the place when I grew up. We still had this architecture, military architecture from the Second War. It was our free time, or building some boats and trying to swim on it in small lakes. It was everything very wild and crazy. And so comparing to this city kindergartens, yeah, this is a good question actually. I don't know. For sure we had much more creativity at that time. Of course, it would be crazy to recommend this to to the parents nowadays. Let your kids do the crazy things, because they were very risky. But it's a good question actually. And of course, growing up with this society that appreciates so much Chopin and this romantic Polish soul, it was also a big thing. Another good aspect of my education is that I was in a music school from the very beginning. So we had the normal subjects, but also music subjects on the mixed together. So all of my colleagues, they did the music as well, and they were all great. So we motivated each other, and so I was growing up in this understanding that everyone is playing music and everyone is trying to do their best, and it was great motivation for sure. So maybe the answer is kind of crazy, but I don't know. It's some very honest thoughts, right?
Yeah. Some things might influence you without even knowing it, or
and you don't know. You think about what you did, but what influence it has, it's hard to judge.
Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. I know you've recorded some Tonsmen. Are there any other Polish composers that you like that others might not know of outside of the country, or that you could share, or?
Let me think about this. I remember my first CD was a Polish guitar music, and I recorded some 19th century composers like Horecki, Bobrowicz. They were this kind of romantic virtuoso. And of course, Tansman, I think, is the well-known composer from the Poland that wrote for the guitar many pieces. There are many modern composers like Alexander Nowak or Jerzy Bauer, great composer that I played his concerto for strings and guitars, beautiful piece. Yeah, it's for sure there are many young composers that they write beautiful music, but still, they need their time to be discovered, right? It's difficult to mention some names.
Yeah, oh, that's all right. You mentioned, you started in a music school early on. Was there a particular point where you decided that you wanted to be a musician or be a classical guitarist, where that's what you're going to do, or did it just more or less kind of happen as you developed?
So as a kid, I did just what another kids did. So I played my guitar, and sometimes I liked it, sometimes I hated this, right? As a normal kid, you change your mind every day, right? But I think the moment when I really understood that I'm gonna be a musician was the time that I moved to Basel to study with Oskar Gillia, and I think one of the reasons was, of course, Oskar Gillia was a great personality and a great professor, and it was really very inspiring for me. Also, being far away from the family and from my friends, just living in a strange city, in a small apartment, just me and my guitar, it creates this kind of feeling that all what's happening now is kind of important, and it's because of the guitar, because of the music. So.
And now your studies have taken you, and you've become a doctor of guitar, more or less. You've gotten your PhD, correct?
Yes, just because I work at the university in Katowice, and the very natural way for professors there is make this academic progress, how we call it, development.
Yeah.
So in Poland, when you start to work at the university, you are not a professor immediately, right? First you are just an assistant, then you have to do a PhD, and then you will become a professor. So that's actually, this year I finished my PhD, and it was, at the beginning it was a lot of protest inside. I don't want to do this paperwork. It's not my job. It's wasting of time. But of course, I knew also that at the moment I'm going to start work, probably I will see a lot of profits that coming from this work, and indeed it was like this. So it was a lot of work, a lot of research, but also very enjoyable. Maybe just like typing on the computer is something that I still hate.
Yeah.
And I think this technique takes me away from.
Yeah. You'd work on that technique instead. Yeah.
So yeah.
I think that's one of the things a lot of people who pursue guitar or music academically, they'll be in school and they might not like one aspect, whether it's music history or the theory side of things. They just want to play their instrument. What would you say? Would you say there's enough of a payoff in kind of doing some of the other things that are not just focused on your instrument? Do you feel that it's worth it for people? Or?
Oh, definitely, yes. And look at this. I think if you just dedicate your time and all thoughts into the playing guitar, then you're just a guitar player. Mm-hmm. Okay. And what we expect in a concert is an artist, musician, right? So you have to understand that to make your music interesting, alive, very special, high quality, you have to develop as a person. You have to develop as a scientist as well, right? Somehow your knowledge should increase. Everyone knows this, right? But at the moment you start to work on some other things, you really see how much it will influence you as a player. And I always keep it on my mind. Whatever I do, I always ask myself what influence it has on me as a musician, as an artist. And whatever I do, I always can find some influence, and then it makes this work more easy, more enjoyable. Yeah. Right?
One other great thing about your playing is it's very expressive when you listen to it. You can even just hear the gestures, let alone when you're performing. There's a lot of movements and things like that, and I think it's very much in a good way. It paints a good picture. What goes through your head more or less when you're playing or performing? Do you have particular things you're visualizing, or do you just kind of let it see where it takes you and go from there?
Just when I perform, I'm listening to myself, and I just I try to control if everything makes sense, right? But I realize that the young players are a little bit more expressive usually. The older players are becoming less expressive with their body, but more expressive with the music.
Yeah.
Something amazing about this. So it looks like the young people, the young players, they want to convince the audience that they deserve to be an artist, and they try to be too expressive sometimes. So in my opinion, when I saw one of my earliest video recordings, I was kind of disappointed with I thought they are too extreme. So then I started to think about it. Is it necessary? I mean, what's necessary, what's not? Of course, there are some players, they don't even move. This is also bad, right? Because to have a right timing, to have a nice feeling, to have a nice tempo, you need the upbeat, you need a gesture. Without this, everything is kind of fake and in wrong timing, completely wrong timing. Each time I'm teaching some students, they are very stiff. First I try to describe how they should do a rubato, or how they should play the nice accelerando. And intellectually they understand this, but the way they play it is always kind of strange. But at the moment I ask them to involve all the muscles and the gestures. Of course, at the beginning they're always shy and they don't want to do this, but at the moment it comes naturally, it's perfect. You have to find your own balance, right? Because sometimes the big gestures and the huge excitement on the stage is taking you away from the precision and from just delivering this expression to the music, because your body consumes like maybe 50% of the energy, and this is what I really appreciate in older masters like Rubinstein, Starker, and all the great names, that they were able to accumulate the emotions, the tension, the energy in the fingertips. So you could feel a kind of maybe tension on the face, but then all the muscles were working to create certain emotions. And I think when you understand this and you can do it with your body on the right path, and you will be able to really express yourself through the notes, through music.
Yeah. Do you have any favorite composers in particular? I know you've recorded a lot of Rodrigo's works, but even a top three? It's hard to pick one, or favorite composers to play.
I don't even bother myself with doing such a list, because I don't like so much statistics, like favorite meal, favorite car, favorite city. Oh gosh, like it's just too. It's just not necessary to do this. I see how I change, and like one day I may really appreciate one composer, another day another one. Recently, in the past years, I played this beautiful piece by Nicolas Moe, Music of Memory. It was like 25 minutes long story, beautiful, energetic, different inside piece, gorgeous. On this tour, I started to perform a piece called Mano a Mano by Magnus Lindberg. And it's another masterpiece for the guitar, I have to say. People enjoy it, even though it's a modern language. So it's really beautiful. Of course, the Spanish music, you mentioned Rodrigo. Spanish music sounds always great on classical guitar. It's a beautiful one. Takemitsu, Tansman, Ponce. I love Ponce.
Yeah.
It makes me crazy if someone asks me to give the points to create kind of ranking.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry that I should have asked today what your favorite one is.
But
that's
let me ask the question. Why it's important for you to hear the favorite one?
I think a lot of times people really like to know. I think they like to know it's something that's identifiable and tangible that they can just grab onto, because I mean, there really are so many great composers, and everyone's going to like different composers at different times. So I think sometimes, you know, people who are looking in, they like to know, you know, what the list is, even if it changes. It's something that they can check out or something like that. But
sure,
I understand that. Yeah, it does change. So it's really it's not an easy answer. I realize that these
and look at this. I would really hate to give to the people what they have to like. You know, like for me, and then if someone just likes Rodrigo because I mentioned Rodrigo, or if someone likes Lindbergh because I mentioned Lindbergh, it doesn't make me happy. And I think this guy is completely wrong, because this what's important for me is that I see someone who is thinking, who is who understands that he's on some level, and he knows that he will change through his life. So what you like, what you don't like, it must be always very honest, very personal, and please let yourself to develop, you know, let yourself to change, because if you just stick to an idea for the whole life, this makes, you know, this is this mentality that makes this world so bad, you know, those crazy orthodox people, you know, like very, very strong with the thoughts. I remember once one professor, I consider him as a very great guy, he said that someone who says yes and no is right. Someone who says maybe, I think so, I believe, is wrong. You should not trust him. I think it's completely opposite. If someone says yes or not, it means he's stupid. Because he, you know, in many aspects of our life, if you are clever enough and intelligent enough, you will not allow yourself to do this. But with knowing all what's going on, you rather say maybe, or I think so, or I believe that that's what's going to happen, because you still know that there are so many aspects of so many aspects that may change your point of view. It's crazy. And it's the same with the students. You know, each time I provoke them to think, I provoke them to decide for themselves, they are kind of lost. But if I tell them, you have to do this practice, this exercise 20 minutes a day in the morning and 20 minutes in the evening, they are happy, because they don't have to think. They go home and they just do the, you know, like we all would like to be free and independent, but at the end it looks like we prefer to be slaves and to have a boss who is telling us what to do.
Well, that's the easy way out.
That's the easy way,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
It definitely is, because of, you know, freedom and taking responsibility for yourself. It's very, very challenging.
I guess if you're going with the yes/no thing, it'd be like, how should I, you know, is this how I should phrase it, yes or no? That'd be impossible to say. Or is this how I should play it or interpret it? You know, there's always so many options that people should figure it out. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, well, I see it very often on TV also. There is this meeting with a show with politicians, right? And the guy who has the show, he wants to be very, you know, very clever and strict, and saying, and now is the time for questions, and you are allowed to answer also only yes or no, right? And then he gives he asks the questions that are actually impossible to say yes or no, right?
Yeah.
So because if you say yes, it's crazy. If you say no, it's stupid, right? So
if you were doing something else, if you never became a classical guitarist touring, what do you think you'd be doing in an alternate universe?
I have no idea, but I'm sure I would do it good.
Do it to your fullest.
Yes, because look at this. I can see perfection and artistry in every job, in every profession. Whatever you do, you can just turn it into the perfection, into the almost art. So I give you an example. When I was a teenager, I was waiting for my parents coming out from they were visiting a museum in a city, and I was just in the lobby. I was waiting for them, and I watched the coatman who's, you know, taking the jackets, the coats from the people were coming to the museum, and this guy did this with such a grace and elegance and, I don't know, 19th century charm that the people that came from the street, they were like, you know, very fast, very much in a hurry, like busy, and at the moment they gave him the coat and they realized this magic way of how you say this.
Unburdening them, kind of.
Yeah, that, exactly. So the guy, because of his approach to his profession, he just changed them completely in 1 second, and then from this moment they were like in a different world. And I was watching this person doing his job, and I said, okay, I want to do this job. It's just fantastic, you know. So and then you go to the supermarket to buy something. You know, you ask the question, and the answer is, you know, like you ask, what's the difference between this TV and this TV? And the guy says, oh yeah, this one is a silver and costs 2,045, and this one is black and costs 3,000, right? And maybe another person who just explain you extremely what's important for you when you are choosing the TV, you know, the distance between you, you're gonna see it, you know, the colors, what you like, what reason you're gonna choose it, and then you see, okay, thank you, I really appreciate your knowledge, and it makes a difference, right? I don't want to even mention the restaurants and
everyone's had good service, bad service, and excellent. Well, I really appreciate you doing this. What is next for you? I mean, you're going to be going back. I think you have some dates in Europe, and then what do you see happening in the next year after this tour?
So tonight I play my last concert in North America. Tomorrow I go back to Europe, not really home, because I have a beautiful concert in a concert house in Vienna, which is quite nice and important for me. And then I go home, but just for 1 week. And usually the summer is very busy, many festivals in Europe. I will come this summer to US as well for GFA. I will be in Canada, here in the festival called Domaine Forget.
Oh yeah, Domaine Forget.
Domaine Forget, yes. And yeah, so the summer is gonna be very busy with many festivals. The autumn and winter, probably I have more time for practicing, changing the program, and then next year Russia, Japan, China, so many new destinations. That very exciting.
Excellent. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview, and best of luck tonight in the concert. I can't wait to see it.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Thanks.
Thank you.